Let's get some instant analysis. Welcome in CBS Sports combat analyst Brian Campbell. A stunner in Vegas. Ankalaev defeats Pereira via unanimous decision and wins the UFC light heavyweight title. BC, did you have the fight scored that way?
Look, this was a closer fight, I think, than those scores will indicate or what your eyes tell you, meaning I did have it 3 rounds to 2 for Pereira. I thought he won that swing round of round 3 by landing the better low calf kicks to really slow Ankalaev down. And I certainly think you can criticize Ankalaev's decision in round 5 not to come out and grapple until that final minute, considering the success he was having along the cage. But at the same time, who was the better fighter over the 5 rounds? It was Ankalaev. The rounds that he won, he seemed to win them bigger. And most importantly, he completely took Pereira off of his game. Pereira loves to be the stalker, to walk you down, to wait for that one mistake. But even though Ankalaev would ultimately go 0 for 11 on takedown attempts, he was the better striker. He was more technical, and he pushed the pace on Pereira and made him look a little gassed out, really made him look human, which is something we're not used to talking about when we're talking about the great Poatan.
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible that he was going to lose another fight. I mean, I know it's humanly possible, but for all of the power, the massive takedowns that he delivers, I just didn't think it was possible. And Ankalaev, credit to him, a 14-fight unbeaten streak. He has not lost in some 7 years. So certainly give him his praise. Certainly that left hand hurting Pereira in round 2. That, to me, was what really stood out in this fight.
No question about it. He controlled the terms of what he wanted to do in there. And even like I mentioned, without actually being successful with a single takedown, which if you're talking about a scouting report, where would Ankalaev have the best chance to win? Obviously, it was going to be on the ground where we perceive that Pereira is weak in that area. Pereira's takedown defense was incredible on this night, but it was really about Ankalaev making that switch in round 2 to become the aggressor, to put the pressure on Pereira, completely taking him out of his game. I know that sounds kind of flip-flop. I had the fight for Pereira scoring-wise. Some of those rounds end up being really close. But the totality of what Ankalaev did in this fight, it feels like a stunner given the success that Pereira was on. But these odds were a virtual pick'em. You mentioned that long streak of Ankalaev going back to his UFC debut when he was submitted by Paul Craig in round 3. He's been nothing but very good since then. But to be fair, sometimes Ankalaev makes mistakes in big moments. He pretty much dropped the ball in that vacant title fight a few years ago against Jan Blachowicz with the fight on the line. But on this night, after this run where, to be fair, Ankalaev was been avoided, the UFC allowed other fighters to get the title shots against Pereira, including Khalil Rountree last time, while Ankalaev was just waiting around. But when he finally did get his call, he made the most of it. He's your rightful light heavyweight champion.
For Pereira, it's his first loss since moving up to light heavyweight. He was asked post-fight what happens next. Is it an immediate rematch as we get the cat in here? I love it. Let's get the cats. What does the cat think? Do we get a rematch, or are we getting training?
Yeah, Reggie's a big MMA fan. Look, here's the deal. I believe the UFC will institute an instant rematch. Why? Well, first and foremost, Pereira, arguably the most valuable player on the roster, so to speak, right? He won 3 title fights last year in 176 days, saved the promotion. He's a fun and exciting fighter. This was an off night. So when you have a decorated champion who's that high up on your pound-for-pound top 10 and commercially is one of your go-to pay-per-view brands, you get him a second opportunity, especially against a new champion in Ankalaev, who has far from an exciting style. Business-wise, you probably see this a second time. But shout out to Magomed Ankalaev. He had the right strategy. He had the right game plan. And although, again, I question his lack of wrestling in round 5, he never made that key, crucial mistake that so many other fighters do, where Poatan can end that fight. He also came in confident and ready to go. I think he's going to have to climb this mountain a second time in an immediate rematch. It will give Poatan the opportunity to come back and really let his hands go.
Magomed proving he's got that dog in him, but also cats are fans of him as well, as we've seen on this segment. So very well done there. Also, we have reconfirmed that Justin Gaethje has that dog back, and he said he was going to be more aggressive, and the highlight delivered a highlight. Massive uppercut in round 2 of the co-main event, knocks down Rafael Fiziev. Gaethje wins via unanimous decision. BC, did Gaethje look like the old Gaethje to you?
He did in his own way. Look, he's 36 years old. Nobody's been through more wars than this incredible action fighter who is the former interim champion in this division. But considering we saw him knocked out cold last April against Max Holloway at UFC 300, and with a fighter like Gaethje who so often walks into oncoming traffic with his hands down, you wonder when that chin is going to go. But Gaethje survived a technical opening round from Fiziev and really put it on him in the second half, relying on counter shots, combinations, to time Fiziev, to hurt him with big shots. This was a mature veteran performance, not unlike the same performance from Gaethje 2 years ago when he scored a majority decision over Fiziev. For Fiziev, he took this fight on such late notice, 12 days. He's been off 18 months. He had a knee injury. He looked to be in shape despite those circumstances. But credit for Gaethje. You know him as a caveman, a brawler. He used smarts, he used craft on this night, and he certainly used his power to get his hand raised.
And perhaps maybe things would have been different if Dan Hooker was healthy, but that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. Gaethje defeating the man in front of him. He got a standing ovation to start round 3, as if the fans were willing him to victory. We know he's a fan favorite. We know he hangs in there. The knockout from Max Holloway, he took it on the chin. It was an incredible display of performance by Max Holloway in that fight. But for Gaethje, this has got to give you some confidence. So what does this win mean for him moving forward?
Look, this is going to get him another gigantic fight. If you're talking about a potential he's a dark horse title challenger right now when you consider he's won 3 out of 4, 2 wins over Fiziev, 1 over Dustin Poirier. Could we see him in an all-action trilogy with Dustin Poirier in what would amount to Dustin's retirement fight? That certainly would be good booking for the UFC, whether it's a BMF title, whether it's the actual lightweight title. Although the top of that division's a little busy at the moment, you're going to see Gaethje catapulted into another pay-per-view main event or co-main. This was a big win to keep himself alive because, like we mentioned, when that chin goes, it's going to go. It's not gone yet. All action, the highlight, Justin Gaethje is still here at the top of this division.
Justin Gaethje is back, winning via unanimous decision, delivers a highlight main event, a new light heavyweight champion. I didn't think we'd be saying that on this night, but hey, Reggie's a fan of Magomed Ankalaev. He is the new champ in the light heavyweight division. Shouts to the cat, shouts to Brian Campbell for the excellent analysis here on CBS Sports HQ. BC, thanks.
Thank you.